Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. My name is Callie, and this is another weekend of clarinets, cats, and coffee. In today's video, I am going to give you guys a few tips on how to break in a new wooden clarinet. Now, a couple years ago, I made a video on how to pick out a good clarinet, how to play test it and pick a good one out for yourself. So be sure to check that out before you dive into this one if you don't already have a good method. But in the meantime, enjoy watching this video here today. So you just got home with your brand new, sparkly, wonderful clarinet that you spent hours and hours testing out, and you're so excited and you can't wait to practice hours and hours and hours on it. And oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. Stop. Just stop. Hold on. Pause for one moment and listen to this before you do anything else. First thing, you have to break this in gradually. Gradually meaning little bits every day, okay? So this is one of my favorite things to do with like some of my younger students who don't always practice like they should. And this is actually true, so I'm not really tricking anybody into anything, but I also like kind of feel like the clarinet is tricking them into this. Anyway, so my rule is 30 minutes a day, every day, for 2 weeks. If you miss a day, you have to start the 2 weeks over. So by doing that, you are getting the wood used to being expanded, contracted, whatever, spit blowing into it and all of that stuff, just a little bit each day. So after the first 2 weeks of having it, you've played it 30 minutes every day for 2 weeks. You can add 10 minutes per day until you're up to an hour. And after that point, hopefully you're not doing 2 or 3 or 4 hour chunks all at once. After that, you should be good to go. The risk of cracking should be greatly minimized. So see what I mean? It's like the students who buy their instruments, they're like, yes, I'm going to do everything right. And then they accidentally skip a day. So then they have to start their 30 minutes a day for 2 weeks over again. So then, they end up practicing like a lot more than they would have, and they get a lot better a lot faster, and they think it's the clarinet, but it's actually them because they're practicing. Anyway, next point. Wait at least 6 months before getting your instrument overhauled. And I know many of you are going to be listening to this and thinking, one, like half of you are going to be like, well, why do I need to get it overhauled anyway? It's brand new. And then the other half are like, yeah, but I need to make sure every little thing is in regulation exactly how I want it, so I want to get it overhauled right away. Hold up, okay? My repair technician, I'm just going with his advice for me after I got my instruments. He actually wouldn't overhaul it until 6 months. Like he just flat out said no. So the reason for that is the wood changes dramatically, like a lot in the first 6 months of playing on it. In fact, I would say the wood shifted for at least a year. Both of my instruments, my B flat and my A. And I know this because remember when I made that comparison video a couple years ago and I was complaining about the keys being soft on my B-flat clarinet? It wasn't that the keys were soft, and it wasn't that the case was bad. I think the wood was actually just still like figuring itself out, and the keys would get out of regulation every couple of months. I know, wild. But here we are. That happens. Whatever. So expect your wood to change over the first 6 months to a year of having it. So that being said, I also have another fun little story. One of my students bought the most beautiful Selmer Paris low C bass clarinet, and like it was like straight from like France. Like they had to wait for them to make it and then like send it over because it was just the year that she bought it, everything was just very behind in production. I wonder, pandemic. Anyway, so she had to wait like 4 months to get the instrument, and the instrument arrives and it is perfect. Every single thing about it was absolutely perfect. The key regulation was perfect, not a single clink or clunk. The pads sealed, everything was great. Within a month, the keys started binding up. And I called on my repair tech and I'm like, hey, this is like the best instrument you could get. What is happening? Why won't the keys move? He said, they make them so good that when the wood shrinks, the keys bind. So we actually had to send it to him to get the posts loosened a little bit so that when the wood changed, it would still play. So that's not really that big of a deal. So it has nothing to do with the quality of craftsmanship. In fact, it probably means they put even more care than normal into their instruments. So no issues now after he did his magic on it. But yeah, wood changes. We have to deal with it. That being said, in dry weather, we need to keep our instruments properly humidified. So in my case, I keep a little humidity measury thingy. What are those called? I forgot what they're called. Yep, it's escaping me. Anyway, a little measury thingy to measure the percentage of humidity. And I also keep a Boveda humidity pack in my case. I think it's 49%. And when the air gets dry, when it's lower than 40%, I'll put one of those packs in there with the humidity gauge just to make sure it's not getting too low. Because when the moisture gets sucked out of your clarinet, cracking occurs. So we do not want the wood to dry out. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean you can go without cleaning the spit out of your clarinet every time you play. So I'm very opinionated about my swab preferences for the clarinet. So I don't like silk. I actually think it's kind of scratchy and it doesn't really absorb the moisture in the clarinet. So that's pretty much useless. I don't like cotton because cotton leaves behind debris. It also can get caught on the register tube mechanism. It also rips very easily, so no cotton for me. I prefer microfiber, super absorbent, very soft microfiber cloths. Some are thick, some brands make thicker cloths, some make thinner cloths. I like the ones made by Van Doren or Yamaha that are a little bit thinner, but BG makes some really nice thick ones. I would say if you get the thick ones, just be careful. They do tend to get stuck around the mechanism, but they're also great because a lot of times all you have to do is swipe it through once and it gets everything. So use a good swab, use it every time you play, use it for every 15-20 minutes of playing to get all the gunk out, and you will probably minimize your risk of cracking by quite a lot. Avoid extreme temperature changes. So the classic one is when you're walking down the street in Chicago and it's, 15 degrees outside and your case isn't all that insulated, and then you get to your destination, you pull your clarinet out and it feels like an ice cube. Big no-no would be to put it together and just start playing. So what happens, you blow hot air into wood, it's going to make the inside of the instrument expand before the outside of the instrument has had a chance to acclimate, and cracking will occur. So I usually just recommend wrapping it up in your coat, use your body heat to warm it up from the outside, and let it warm up slowly, and you'll minimize the stress being put on the wood and minimize the risk of cracking. For those of you who are in school and you're doing marching band stuff, do not march with a wooden clarinet. You're going to be outside in the sun. The sun will do weird things to your instrument. Also, extreme weather changes. Also, possibly marching in the rain. Also, all kinds of things. So just don't march with your wooden clarinet. If you travel, always carry on your bag into the cabin. Do not check your clarinet. And finally, get your instrument serviced at least once a year. The repair technician will be able to oil the bore and check to make sure the wood hasn't dried out in weird ways, and that way you have a professional eye looking at it. There are ways to oil your bore on your own. I don't do that though, so you'll have to find some other YouTube channel to teach you how to do that. I just have my repair technician do it. All right, I hope that gets you all started with your new instruments. So congratulations if you're watching this and you're a newbie to the wood clarinet scene. I hope you love your new baby and give it a very good life. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, a good week next week, and as always, happy practicing.